Hello and welcome to the newest sort of series I'm going to be doing on here, which is the Tennessee Titans Madden series. Now, this is going to take place in the 2024-2025 season. I'm playing on PC, and this is modded. So if we go to the Titans roster right here, you'll see all the roster update, turnover, contract, all that sort of stuff is on here accurately as of this recording. I also made some of my own personal changes to the roster already, but in this video it's going to be a lot of setup, and it's going to be going through why I chose this team and expectations and all that sort of stuff. So first, we will start with Will Levis, who is going to be our QB, hopefully long term, if he can progress adequately here. Going into the season, he has good. One of the best things about him in terms of a Madden QB is he has 94 throw power, which is really good. He has decent physicals. I'm very excited from what I saw from his rookie year tape. He obviously didn't play the full season. He only played, 9 games. He had 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,800 yards. And guys, I think this team has done a great job of surrounding him with talent, but I'll get to that in a second. In terms of the QB room, Mason Rudolph is a guy who's going to be probably cut when cuts come around. I think Malik Willis is going to be our backup. He's a guy they invested in a few years ago who, if things don't work out with Will Levis, could be a guy that we could try to look at. We also brought in Matt Corral. He's just going to be a practice squad guy. He's just someone that we can bring in if we're having some depth issues at QB. So let's go to the running back room. We have Tony Pollard, who, in terms of my own personal take on things, I don't think he is as good as maybe a lot of people think. He had a very good season last year. I think he's a good, not great running back. They have him as a superstar. I wouldn't even give him that, but it's just me personally. We got Tony Pollard in here. He has very good attributes in this game and should be very nice for us. We have Tajay Spears, who was looking like who they were going to pivot to from Derrick Henry, but they obviously brought in Tony Pollard. Didn't have an insane season last year, but in the opportunities he got, he did very well. We have Dylan Johnson. I don't know much about him going into this. Probably should have figured out a little more. I don't even know where he got drafted. It says he's undrafted. I don't know if that's true or not, if he was a UDFA, but he's a rookie. And the rest of the running back room, nothing crazy there. The wide receiver room is where I want to focus. We have DeAndre Hopkins, who I think has become underrated. He still had a good season last year, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, 75 receptions. Not the old DeAndre Hopkins. He's taken a step back physically, I think, but still a very good wide receiver and should be able to complement Calvin Ridley very well. Now, Calvin Ridley had a very inconsistent year last year. You can see he ended with similar statistics to DeAndre Hopkins. It was his first year playing since 2021, and I could see some rust there. He had Trevor Lawrence at QB, who's a very good quarterback, and Calvin Ridley looked pretty inconsistent there, but I think pairing him with DeAndre Hopkins, who could be a kind of a 1A, 1B type of situation here, Calvin Ridley being more of that medium, kind of like intermediate pass game, route runner, playmaker type, DeAndre Hopkins being that deep threat, jump ball, physical type. And then we have Tyler Boyd, who's going to play in the slot. Tyler Boyd is someone who was, I'm a Bengals fan, which I think is interesting for the series because Brian Callahan obviously comes from Cincinnati, so we have a similar type of connection to the Bengals. But Tyler Boyd is a guy who has regressed over time, but I think is still very capable of being productive. He was in a very, very stacked receiver room in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and this receiver room is stacked as well. He's going to be our slot guy. That's his role on this team. I think he's going to get good production and good value from us. He's not getting paid very much, and I think can still have a good role on this team. We have, excuse me. Uh, Finally, we have Treylon Burks, who I want to remind people, he was drafted 18th. This was a guy who they traded away A.J. Brown and got him as their A.J. Brown replacement. Now, obviously, that hasn't worked out too well for them. Treylon Burks has had a lot of trouble staying on the field. He's had a lot of injury issues. And he's been very inconsistent in opportunities he's been given. But I still have faith that he can take a jump and become a very good wide receiver for us. I think he can be a guy that we hope to see here long term and develop with Will Levis. I don't have much to say about the rest of the wide receiver room. Now we have the tight ends. Not a great room. We have Okonkwo, who I think is a guy who can develop. He had a okay second year, but is someone I think can be a reliable target. I brought in O.J. Howard, who has kind of fell off a cliff, but we needed some more depth at tight end, so I brought him from free agency. We have Josh Wiley. I also signed UDFA Isaac Rex, and that's all I got to say about the tight end room. The O-line, I think, is probably going to be the biggest weakness of this offense. Now, we have guys here. We have J.C. Latham, who they just drafted out of Alabama. Debatable pick in terms of if it was good or not, but he's someone that hopefully can develop here and live up to his potential being drafted 7th, I believe. Peter Skoronski had a good rookie year and I think can be productive for us. Lloyd Cushenberry, who they brought in free agency, pretty good center. I also signed Billy Price just out of free agency. We need more centers. I don't have much to say about Daniel Brunskill. I don't know much about him. In Madden, he's a 73 overall, so hopefully he can be okay. And then Dylan Redunz, who also had an okay rookie year. This Titans line last season was very questionable, but hopefully they can try to get back to being better than they were last year. Finally, let's talk about the defense. We have Jeffrey Simmons, who has his production has slowed down quite a bit, but we're going to hope he can get back to what he once was. We have T'Vondre Sweat. He hopefully, again, is a guy who can develop here, make strides, and have a good rookie season. We have Arden Key. I also brought in Carl Lawson as some edge guys who can be very rotational, or what I'd call off-ball linebacker, because we're running a 3-4. Arden Key is an edge guy. These are going to be our coverage backers, who I think can be very good. We have Kenneth Murray, who hasn't had a great start to his career, but hopefully can give us good production. We have Jack Gibbons, who had a pretty good year last year, and Cedric Gray, rookie out of North Carolina, who can hopefully develop on this team. I don't know if this team, especially in a stacked AFC and a stacked AFC South, can make the playoffs, but a team that I think can be competitive. We also have Jalen Harrell from Michigan. Sorry, I stumbled over my words there. Who's going to be a guy who can kind of rotate in with reps. This cornerback room is very good. Now, I made a significant change that we'll get to in a second. L'Jarius Sneed he was one of the best corners in football last year. That's just a fact. That's why he got paid like he did and why they traded for him. He has superstar development, 90 overall, 27 years old. Chidobe Awuzie, who's been good when he's been on the field, but hasn't managed to stay on too much. And that is the same story for Caleb Farley, who they drafted, I believe, 22nd a couple of years back. But again, hasn't been able to stay healthy. We're hoping we can unlock some more out of him. I also signed J.C. Jackson in free agency, someone who was considered to be one of the better corners in the league and just kind of fell off a cliff. And Roger McCreary, who is listed at cornerback for this team, I moved to free safety. Now, the reason is we had Elijah Molden here at free safety, and I didn't feel very confident with starting him at that safety spot. And I was thinking about signing somebody, but I was like, why sign someone when I can go in-house and just move McCreary to safety, which I think he can play. He's a very versatile guy, and I think he can adapt into this role as our free safety, play next to Amani Hooker as our strong. We also brought in Landon Collins, who has been playing linebacker as of recent years, but I moved him back to strong safety, which he used to play, and I also brought in Brady Breeze. But in terms of the team, that's for the most part what I have to say about it. The last thing I'll touch on is Brian Callahan as a coach. Let's just get to the franchise staff page here. He's a guy that I was confused when they fired Mike Vrabel, and I was even more confused when they hired Brian Callahan at head coach. And as a Bengals fan, I have very mixed feelings about Brian Callahan. I think he's done okay. I don't think he's done anything to separate himself where he would be given a head coaching opportunity. I'm not sold on Zach Taylor either, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be playing basically as the de facto coach and coordinators here. So I'm not too worried about Brian Callahan, but in terms of tying this into real life, I'm not sure how good of a head coach signing he was, but sometimes that's how we feel about head coach signings, and they end up being very, very solid. So one of the things that is the most different about this modded PC franchise is the progression tool. Now, we are in what is called the My Franchise tool right here. As you can see, it's pretty neat in terms of interface, but what it's going to allow us to do is implement a new type of progression. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the description of the progression tool. I've highlighted it here. This tool is designed to replace the XP system that is currently in Madden. It is based on the old school progression system that was present in every Madden game that had progression leading up to the introduction of XP, such as Madden 12. This tool creates a dynamic environment for players to improve. No two franchises will be alike. Set all XP sliders to 0. So basically, throughout the season, guys are not going to progress. So this progression tool we are running in preseason week 1, and that will be the progression for the entire season, because the progression system in Madden is very linear, it's very predictable, and what this is going to allow us to have is some different sort of storylines, abilities to make our gameplay experience very unique in this series. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go ahead and run it, and I will go into franchise and go over specifically what has changed with our team. So I made the decision to kind of just show our team. I want to leave the other differences in progression up in the air, so when we scout the teams that we will be playing, we can see the changes across all the other teams. So first of all, I'm happy because Will Levis is up 4 overall points. I don't know if this gives out dev traits or not. If it does, he didn't get one of those, but he goes up 4 overall. Not sure exactly where, but that's very nice for us. That will make playing as him hopefully a lot more fun, and I'm glad to see that progression. Tony Pollard looks like he went up a few. Tajay Spears maybe went up 1. Dylan Johnson maybe a couple. I'm not sure though. I don't remember. But the progression can range from very small changes to no changes at all, or very large changes Looks like at wide receiver, I don't think anyone changed at all. I'm pretty sure Okonkwo was already a 74. J.C. Latham, up 10. This is what I'm talking about. He was a 70 overall, and he just jumped 10 overall points, but again, did not get a dev trait, which is huge for us, by the way. That really shores up our left tackle spot. But it's looking like, for the most part, it's going to remain pretty much the same. L'Jarius Sneed looks like he went up a point. Caleb Farley? I think he was a 74 before. Wait, he may not have been. I think he went up. I'm not sure, but I think he went up. McCreary stays the same. Hooker stays the same. So it looks like, for the most part, we remain pretty unchanged here for our team. We'll see when we get to other teams how they have changed. But the main takeaways is Will Levis and J.C. Latham, who went up huge. I mean, 10 overall points is insane, and that shores up my concerns at left tackle for the most part. Now, I will admit, I haven't done a modded Madden thing in a while, and there's some new stuff here. So the first thing that sticks out to me is free agency lottery, which according to the schedule says we should run in preseason week 1. So we're going to do it. This tool assigns free agents to team based on thresholds that users can set prior to running. It evaluates team needs that meet specific criteria for upgrades. The starter only option focuses only on how much an overall rating improvement they are, and avoids replacing players with certain tags. This treats user and CPU teams equally. This can be run during draft recaps. Okay, so let's try this. Starter only. Should I do that? How does that change things? Doesn't look like I can. Did I break it? I think I might have broke it. Oh, no. Okay, something changed. So, I ticked starter only. But some of these don't make sense. Like, why are the Bengals in David Bakhtiari? Or us. That wouldn't make sense for us to sign him at left tackle. Because the Bengals already have Orlando Brown. So, I guess I can customize this to teams where this would fit. That might take me a while, though, to do that. But it would be kind of neat that I can do this. So, it won't be guaranteed that it goes to certain teams. All of these guys. Yeah, I kind of like that. So, I'm going to play around with this, and I'll see what I can do. Okay, so I've never done this before, but I worked my way through all of the I did like the top sort of free agents, and I left all the other ones blank for now. So as you can see, now we did get a spoiler. Cam Akers went up to an 85, which changed how I did some of the teams, but there isn't too many guys on here. Jared McKinnon, Xavier Howard, Kareem Hunt, Jamal Adams, Connor Williams. I didn't spend too much time doing these, but I wanted them to make sense, and I think all of them at least make sense. I'm going to run it and see what happens. Akers goes Bengals, Bach Commanders, Justin Simmons goes to the Jets, Gilmore Jags, Hyde Saints, Williams goes to the Eagles, Jamal Adams goes to the Broncos, Kareem Hunt goes to the Colts, Xavier Howard goes to the Bears, Jarrett McKinnon goes to the Dolphins. That was one I made myself because I just thought it sounded really fun. So that's like kind of, in my opinion, like a first round of free agency sort of deal there. So I'm going to do this again and maybe one more time after that to try to get some of these top free agents out of here. So I went in, and I know these are very minor sort of things, but I added some more guys and teams they could sign to. So we're going to run the lottery again. Steven Nelson to the Colts, Quandre Diggs to the Falcons, Tayshaun Gibson Sr. to the Bengals, Eddie Jackson to the 49ers, John Johnson to the Colts, okay, I want to make sure they didn't get two of the same. Marcus May to the Bills, Rudy Ford to the Saints, Ryan Neal to the Packers, Marcus Peters to the Bucks, Cam Sutton to the Falcons, Michael Thomas to the Steelers, Akel Witherspoon to the Chiefs, Mecole Hardman to the Ravens, Richie James to the Browns. And I think we might be able to run the lottery one more time and just let the rest of these guys go places. And we'll just look at this quick recap here. These guys might get cut. Who knows? But just some guys who deserve to be on teams. And I think all we have to do is we have to match scheme and balance of rosters. Oh, wait, am I in? Oh, no, I'm in Madden. I might have broke the game. Well, we'll see if I broke the game or not, because I was actually in Madden when I was doing that, and I don't think I was supposed to be. So we need to run match scheme. Would you like? Yes. Okay, and then balance rosters. Okay, so I think that just makes it so in the NFL there's 4-3s and there's 3-4 teams, and what that's doing is if your team is a 4-3 and certain guys are in the wrong position when you're a 4-3 defensive lineman, which would be an edge, or a 3-4 outside linebacker, also an edge, like just kind of making everything fit well. But I think that's all the maintenance we needed to do. Okay, so I'm in preseason week 4. I decided to go through the preseason off, oh my gosh, the word is not coming to me. Off camera, I guess, even though, whatever. So I played a little bit in these games, but not too much. Mostly, the only reason I went in was to make sure the right players were in. And there were some takeaways, I think. I mostly just focused on the offense, but I made all the roster cuts. It was really tough, man. It was really tough to make a lot of these roster cuts. So we go with 2 QBs, Will Levis, Malik Willis being the backup here as QB2. He did pretty well in this preseason. I kept Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, obviously, Dylan Johnson, and Hassan Haskins, who was standout in the preseason. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Traylon Burks obviously make the roster, with the addition of Auden Tate, who had 3 touchdowns in the preseason and looked pretty good, and so did Jaquan Jackson, so we kept him on the team. I cut O.J. Howard because I couldn't play with him. I don't know what was going on with that. It was a Madden glitch. I just decided to get rid of him. We go 2 deep at all the offensive line and defensive line. We have 3 deep at each edge position. Oh, wait, no. We have 5 edge, 3 at left outside linebacker, 2 at right outside, 4 at middle linebacker. And then corner, we go pretty short here. We only have, it's 5, right? Yeah. So Brownlee was pretty good in the preseason. Most of these guys didn't play too much, but I decided I wanted to keep Brady Breeze in addition to Landon Collins, Amani Hooker, Roger McCreary, and Elijah Molden, which is why I only went with 5 corners. We have the full practice squad. We kept Kyle Phillips, Eric Aurora, Colton Dowell, just a bunch of miscellaneous guys, Matt Corral on the practice squad. And I think now we are ready to go into the official NFL season. All right, so we are ready for Titans versus Bears here. Now, when I first did this game last night, I was thinking about redoing this game because it was such an incredible blowout, as we're going to get into in this kind of highlight commentary, which I'm doing here. So my vision for these gameplay commentary type things is, instead of doing live commentary throughout the game, I'm going to cut up and edit the highlights and then talk over them with some of my thoughts. So going into this game, I looked at the Bears roster and I said, we need to attack the edge, because their edge and kind of outside the tackles position groups were pretty weak. So I said we should go for the run there. And then we wanted to defend the short pass to stop them from getting Caleb Williams to go, which I was worried about in this one. But the Bears on paper were actually better than us going into this game, as we see Will Levis walking on the field. I think they were like an 85 overall or something. It was kind of ridiculous, to be honest. But yeah, as we'll see in this game, that was not entirely the case. But this is the first play of the game here. I have to make an adjustment at the line of scrimmage. I see something I like. I can't exactly explain why looking back on it, but I see something I like there. And then Calvin Ridley just blocks two guys by himself, and Tony Pollard just walks in for the touchdown. First play of the game, and we score, and that really sets the tone for this one, as we will see here, as Caleb Williams trots onto the field. This was his first game to the NFL, and I think it's safe to say this is a welcome to the NFL type of moment for him, as in, I don't know if this is their first, yeah, this is their first play. He gets a nice little completion there, but the second play of the game, play action read, and just completely sails that ball outside the numbers and gets his ankles broken on the same play, trying to tackle Chidobe Awuzie, who gets the interception. That will not be his last one. And we're going to go to the replay here to just check out what happened to Caleb Williams here. I don't know what happened. He just completely misses this throw. But I don't know. I don't think it's a slider issue, because I've played, like I said, I played in the preseason. I was not doing this well. So now I go for a gutsy call here on 3rd and goal with the QB draw. I feel like this play never works in Madden, but somehow it does here. And Will Levis just kind of runs in for the touchdown, spikes the ball, big dog. Expecting a big season from him, and he starts out pretty well in this game as a whole, as we'll see when we get to the stat sheet. But Caleb Williams makes an adjustment here based off of my coverage. I changed to cover 1 and go into pass, and Chidobe Awuzie just is in Caleb Williams' head right now and picks off, almost gets 6 there, but doesn't quite make it. 2 interceptions for Cheeto already, and Caleb Williams is not having a good day. This one was accurate. Cheeto just completely jumps this route, and yeah, it isn't USC anymore for Caleb Williams. And we're at the 1, and I just do a quick kind of bubble pass off the RPO, and that gets to Tyler Boyd for the touchdown. So we're up 21-0 now. It's safe to say that the Bears are already kind of in comeback mode. Keep in mind, it hasn't even been 3 minutes into the game yet. Caleb Williams gets a good pass there to Keenan Allen, and then again the play action attack straight to Rome Odunze all the way down the field for us. And I call cover 3 here. I'm not sure why, and they just walk in because I was in like a nickel package in cover 3. And I just wanted to highlight some more like rhythm throws. So this, Will Levis hangs in the pocket here and gets it to Calvin Ridley on 3rd down. And again, this is just good job hanging in the pocket, waiting for the play to develop, getting DeAndre Hopkins there. And then Tony Pollard again hits the outside and gets a huge gain there. I kind of forget what happens usually. I'm supposed to remember. Oh, yeah. So I see the coverage. I make an adjustment. I see press coverage on DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm like, oh, he's just going to beat him off the press, and he does. And that's another touchdown. I think he gets another one in simulation. He either ends with 2 or 3 touchdowns. I don't remember. We'll see when I get to the gameplay commentary at the end. But this is just easy reads, green eggs and ham here. Kenneth Murray just picking off Will Levis there. And then the last gameplay footage will be going here. Tony Pollard makes a man miss and just runs, I don't even know, almost 100 yards here for the touchdown to put us up 42-7. So at this point, I just decide it's over. I'll save my own time. I'll save your guys' time. I'm just going to simulate through the entire thing. This is at 4x speed. In simulation, there's the DeAndre Hopkins touchdown. Cheeto gets a pick 6, but I don't remember if it was a pick 6 or not. He gets another interception, but I don't think it's in this sped up footage. So just know that happens. We end the game here. I forget what the final score is. 58-27. A dominant first win. This kind of makes me think that maybe we do have a chance to make the playoffs here, or maybe it's just the Bears being terrible. It's hard to tell. Alright, so I thought I would do this little post-game recap since I obviously edited out most of that game and even simmed through it. So, like I said, the Bears are an 85 overall and we're an 82. So the fact that we beat them that bad was kind of ridiculous. So Will Levis ends with 129 yards, 4 touchdowns, a 65% completion. Caleb Williams had 309, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, 58 completion percentage. Tony Pollard ran for 269 yards, and when I first saw this, I was like, there is no way that isn't, like, at least close to an NFL record, and that was correct, because in rushing yards, that puts him here, which is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th all-time in rushing yards in a game. And the second most recent one was Derrick Henry in 2023 with 285. So already Tony Pollard is cementing the fact that he is a superstar and was worth getting rid of Derrick Henry for. I'm going to focus on us primarily. So Tajay Spears also had a long rushing touchdown. He got some carries. Will Levis got one through the ground. So Will Levis in his first game of the season had 5 touchdowns, which is pretty insane. DeAndre Hopkins picked up 2 touchdowns, 52 yards. Calvin Ridley. It was very collective effort in this game. There wasn't a lot of throwing the ball. There was a lot more running. So defensively, Chidobe Awuzie ended with 3 interceptions. I want to see if he got... No, okay, so he never got a pick 6, but he got 3 interceptions. As for everyone else, Sebastian Joseph Day had a sack. Jeffrey Simmons had a sack. Sebastian Joseph Day had a TFL. Kenneth Murray had 9 tackles. Monty Hooker had 7. A bunch of guys had 7. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the post-game recap. I think I'm going to end the video off here. I think it's going to end up being around, like, 35 minutes, maybe even closer to 40 or something. And that's going to take me, like, 4 days to upload. So I need to get out of here. But thank you guys for watching. And next episode, we'll be doing, maybe, I don't know how many games I'm going to do. Like in the season, I usually try to focus on the most important ones, but yeah, in the next episode we'll do some more gameplay stuff. This was a lot of setup. If you've made it this far, no one has, so I'm not even going to mention it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.